Japanese tech, telecom, and investment conglomerate SoftBank telling investors this morning the company should be playing defense right now, and it's actually started by defending a disappointing quarterly report. The world's biggest tech investor posted a net loss of $13.2 billion for the fiscal year. Happens to be the largest in its history. Currently, shares of SoftBank down about 5.6%, but CEO Masayoshi Son might be thanking his lucky stars for one company under SoftBank's umbrella, ARM. This is the largest chip architecture company in the world, delivered record revenue and profit for the fiscal year. The company tends to be a very solid gauge for the health of the semiconductor industry as a whole. And as you know, that industry is struggling mightily with the most challenging headwinds in more than a century. ARM's new CEO, Rene Haas, is joining us first on Fox Business. Rene, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Liz.
Well, forget the frying pan. You're kind of starting off right in the fire. We know supply chain issues are problem child number one for the industry, but are you seeing any easing right now of the tangled supply chain?
Yeah, it's an interesting time that we live in because semiconductor products, as you know, have been historically quite cyclical. And if we just take the automobile sector for a moment, which is increasingly full of technology and actually ARM technology, you have increasing demands in terms of products, supply chain, et cetera. But now what's happened during the pandemic is you have so many other aspects relative to logistics, shipping ports, et cetera, that I do think we are into some complex times. We don't really have a model for what we've looked at today. And again, if you think about an automobile, which is so complicated to build, steering wheels, tires, glass, a couple of small diodes not being in place at the right time means you can't ship a car. So I think we're in an unprecedented demand situation for semiconductors, which is great. But I also think the supply issues are going to be with us for a while.
Well, we thought it was really interesting. Nissan's CEO today came out and warned that the shortage will, quote, be the new normal. Then you had Intel CEO, Pat Gelsinger, a couple of weeks ago saying that the chip shortage, which was expected to hopefully be over end of 2022, beginning of 2023, now going to stretch into 2024. Who's right here?
I do think the chip shortage is going to be with us for a while. Again, when you think about these complex semiconductors going from 7 nanometer to 5 nanometer to 3 nanometer, the capital equipment required to go build those, there's a lot of investment required in long lead times. Then at the same time, these complex chips, they have packaging, they have substrates, there are lead times around that. And then again, when you just get into the logistics of moving products across the globe in this pandemic, it's quite unpredictable. So I think it's going to be bumpy for a while. As far as the shortage lasting a year or two, if I had a good predictor on those kind of things, I'd probably have a different gig. But I do think it's going to be complicated for a while because we're seeing just, again, huge demand for products across all our sectors.
Well, I think you really just helped our viewers understand something when you talked about just a few, did you call them nodes? Just a few of those unable to be sourced, setting off an entire chain reaction that really holds up an entire system that helps people visualize where the real problems are. But you just became CEO in February, and it was around that time that NVIDIA's acquisition plans for ARM fell by the wayside because of regulatory issues, and the regulators just simply wouldn't let it happen. What do you look forward to with ARM as we go forward? You had been at NVIDIA, I know, as well as Tensilica, Centera Networks. So what's the next opportunity to grow for ARM?
Yeah, so you know my background well, so thank you for the background there. It's been 90 days since I've been in the seat. It's been a very busy 90 days. We're very excited about the future. You talked about our results, record revenue, record profit. One of the things we're most pleased about is our licensing business, what we call our non-royalty, hit levels we've never hit before, over $1 billion. And that is a harbinger for future demand for ARM technology, which we're seeing again across hyperscalers, automotive, IoT, and of course mobile. So we are very, very proud of the results we've achieved, but looking forward, we're going to be really, really busy. And I think for us, really, the next step is moving forward to the next phase of growth for the company. But for us, I couldn't be just more happy about, A, what we've achieved, And we've got a lot of things to work on going forward.
Right. And for people who think, oh, well, NVIDIA's a competitor, Intel's a... No. You build the platform, the architecture upon which a lot of other chip companies build and customize for that. And then obviously there's the licensing business. I need to talk about what's happening in Washington, D.C., because today, as lawmakers are working on negotiations on a measure that would fund $52 billion in the semiconductor industry, we're still not seeing that actually come to fruition. How important is that? Because these fab plants, these fabrication plants are so expensive, take forever to build, and it's really what would give us that edge over China when it comes to the semiconductor industry coming back to the United States. How important, if you had President Biden's ear and the Congress's ear, would you tell them this is?
You know, I think, generally speaking, because the fabs, which are really the heart of the semiconductor industry relative to building products, having a geographic diversity is a good thing. Just like the large cloud vendors don't have their data centers in one geography, think of fabs the same way. You just simply don't want them in the same part of the planet, same part of the globe, different areas that might have different climate kind of issues. So generally speaking, and not taking a political position on this, I would just say geographical diversity is really good for the semiconductor industry, particularly on the manufacturing side.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say that that we don't need to go heavy into building out these plants here stateside?
Well, again, I'm not going to kind of dip into what I might tell President Biden if he ever had the time to speak to me. But I would say, again, having geographic diversity, plants in other parts of the planet, globe, it's a good thing. It's really what you want to have, because they are the fabs are the lifeblood for making the industry go.
But we're hearing, and forgive me if I don't know the very latest on whether ARM would be spun off by SoftBank, but is that something that you see for the foreseeable future, near future at least?
Can't really say too much about what we're doing forward. I mean, Masa-san said that ARM is preparing for an IPO, so I think I'll leave it at that. But that's what we're really looking forward in terms of the next phase of the company post the NVIDIA acquisition. We're very, very happy to be an independent company once again. We think our growth opportunities are quite profound. ARM's a very different company than we were pre-SoftBank. SoftBank bought us in 2016. The world sort of knew us as a supplier to the smartphone industry. Coming out the other side, we're growing in hyperscalers, we're growing in networking, we're growing in automotive, we're growing in IoT. It is a very, very different company going forward.
Yeah, well, it is huge. And just about everybody watching right now has something in their home or in their hands that has ARM architecture in it. Rene, please come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.